Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of American Sniper. Fuck that up a little. Um, Non-spoiler version. This movie was amazing. Go see it. It's not a propaganda film like you might have heard. It's about a guy dealing with PTSD and trying to help others deal with their PTSD. That's all it is. It's a great inspirational story with a very tragic end that happened in 2013. But yeah. Now to deal with its Oscars, Bradley Cooper, Best Actor nomination, absolutely deserved. Best Picture, let's just say that there's some technical issues on this one that would keep me from nominating it Best Picture. But just from sheer story alone, I could completely 100% see why someone would want to nominate this. So, again, go see this film. For those who don't mind spoilers, let's get into some of those technical problems. Yeah, everything was good on this. Bradley Cooper's acting was amazing. The bits of action and whatnot that are in Iraq are very intimate and very, very, very intense. If there's one word that could describe this entire movie, it's intense. it's a rush. Many of you might remember that trailer where he's about to shoot the kid who may or may not be holding something, and he doesn't know, but it's left up to him, and it's like super, super intense, and it just cuts out. The movie literally opens with that trailer, just a little bit more expanded. And it was just as intense as the first time I saw that trailer, and I truly do mean that. But again, everything was good on this film. The acting all around, and the intense moments of action, it just was. It didn't really have a story structure, but unlike other films, this didn't bog that down. Because it told a very, very well-paced event of this guy's life. And it does do time jumps and does introduce some other characters, but yeah, no, Chris Kyle, just story is one that I really think most everyone should see. Going into some of the more technical aspects that didn't quite work and were distracting at times, the editing does a lot of cut black. It cuts black for a second, then he's somewhere else. It uses that same cut over and over and over again. And sometimes it just doesn't flow as well. I don't know. I would have preferred something a little more integrated, a little bit more connected. I don't know. It's something that just bugged me. I went to see it with a few friends who couldn't be on this video, unfortunately, but they didn't have the same problem I did. But one of the technical problems we all had was the dead babies. Yeah, there's a scene where Bradley Cooper's holding, he's talking with his wife while she's breastfeeding their newborn kid. They're talking, and this baby is not moving correctly. There's some little hand twitches from the baby, but nothing else. There's no sound coming from this baby until he starts crying. It's almost embarrassing. This baby is dead. Because Bradley Cooper picks him up and he's like cradling him and holding him and purposely trying to keep the face from showing to the camera because it's obviously a plastic doll. And it's not even a good looking one. They're over here talking about how he's not actually there, he's not actually at home when he's at home with them, and why he can't, going back and forth, how they need their father and whatnot. Meanwhile, they're ignoring the dead piece of meat that he's treating like a living child. The baby was so distracting from this otherwise very emotional, kind of heartfelt scene. And then just dead baby. And it's not the only time you see this baby. When he's holding it too. There's another scene when the son is first born that he has the same problem. They're holding a plastic. In that one, it's not as bad, but in the later scene when Bradley Cooper's holding his daughter and putting her inside of the crib, uh, it's this is a AAA production, isn't it? I don't know. That might be a gaming term. It might be exclusively, but yeah, no. This is This is a Clint Eastwood movie. He's better than this. Directing wise, no problems. I have no qualms with how they shot anything or how they edited it all together. It flowed very well, except for maybe those small cuts. But again, they were just something that bugged me, not anybody else. But yeah, that baby is the big technical problem on this one. Also, some of the blood and bullet effects were a little shoddy at times. They weren't Expendables bad, but yeah, I'd be remiss to say if they were actually good. Yeah, and the technical problems just out of the way. And then let's deal with the other elephant in the room real fast. No, this is not a propaganda film. I know I've heard people complain about it. It's nothing but a big Bush propaganda film. Pro-Iraqi war, yeah, they're savages. It's not. It's about a guy dealing with his PTSD and helping other soldiers deal with their PTSD until his inevitable tragic end. And if those who don't know what happened to Chris Kyle, there was a shootout in 2013. It's one of the reasons why gun laws were a big issue for the last 2 years, was because of this shootout. He drove another vet out to a shooting range, and the other vet snapped and unfortunately killed Chris Kyle, and if I remember right, I might be wrong, but 8 others as well. It was a really big deal. But yeah, it was just showing a guy get over his problems, help others, and how that inevitably, unfortunately, met his end. It's a very inspirational story with a bittersweet ending. It's not a propaganda film in any stretch of the imagination. They villainize our forces as much as they villainize the Iraqis. I'll admit that some of it didn't feel as harsh as it could be, but you know what? I freaking see so many anti-Bush things shoved uncomfortably into movies. It's kind of nice to see someone who didn't go out of their way to shove it into this one. Yes, I'm looking at you, Watchmen. And, I can see how people could see that it's a pro-Bush thing. It's taking it from the soldier's perspective, and to them, there's one line. Take down the enemy, and live long enough to get home. That's it. And some of their conversations, although filled with way more F-bombs than are necessary, I can kind of believe that. But it's not saying that what we did over there was right. It's just saying it happened. And there were bad people over there. All of the terrorists that were inside of this, as far as I know, were completely real. The butcher who drilled little kids' brains out. The super sniper from, what did they say his name was? Scandinavia? I might be wrong about that. I'll look that up and I'll put a little box down there as usual. But yeah, the sniper that Chris Kyle fixates on, and after he takes him down in his 4th tour, that's when he finally realizes he's got nothing left over here. It's time to come home, and he has to deal with his PTSD. Again, a very emotional moment, and it works. But again, there's just as many bad things that show what we were doing there was wrong. They showed our brutality of breaking into their homes and holding innocent people down and getting innocent people killed trying to find the bad ones. There's a scene where they interrogate one guy in his house after breaking in and almost shooting everybody. They're interrogating him and trying to get information about the butcher on him, and he gives them information. He says he'll promise information in exchange for a payoff so that he can get out of Baghdad and protect his family. It happens. It happened a lot, actually. But the butcher got wind before they came back with the money and killed not only the guy, but his little kid, again, with drill. And it's There's legitimate evil over there. There's legitimate problems. That's not to say that there aren't any here. And they bring that point up several times in this film. That there's just as much bad things going on over in our stateside than there is over there. And do we have... They never brought up the question, do we have the right to be over there? Because that's not what the point of the movie was. The point of the movie was this guy's journey of dealing with going through traumatic experiences and learning to let go of that so he can come home to his family. And that is where the focus of the movie was, stayed, and thank God it was done as well as it was. Again, technical problems, and if I had another minor complaint, just a tiny one, the other soldiers that Chris Kyle works with, they're interchangeable. There's a couple of them that have extra personality to them, like part of his Punisher squad. Yes, they actually called themselves the Punishers, and they all had the skull and everything, and you could see them several times reading Punisher comics. It was... I really did like that and appreciate that, because that's really what his squad name was, and that's what they based it on. I'm really surprised that Marvel let them do that, honestly. Not to say that it shows it in a bad light. By far, it doesn't. But some of the other Marines on his team, or not Marines, SEALs. He was a SEAL. He did work with a few Marines when they busted in the house, but anyway, they are interchangeable. Very few of them had personalities. The ones that did were, unfortunately, the ones that died. And I do appreciate that you made them stand out and made me feel something, so that when they actually got shot by a sniper round or caught off guard, or there's a few other ways that they go out, that I felt something. But at the same time, the other soldiers are just your typical jarhead grunts as seen by movie makers. We've seen them in films before. You could have done something with it, but again, minor complaint, because they weren't the focus of the story, nor should they have been. So drawing too much attention could have been bad. Again, minor complaint. I just wish that they felt a little more real. Maybe just have them do things that made them, give them a quirk, give them something that just felt right. But anyway, a minor complaint. So I have really nothing on this one. So final verdict: go see this film. No excuses. Go see this film. This is just as good as the Intimidation Game, if not better. It's arguable. Intimidation Game had a misstep of its own. So, yeah, comparing it to another biographical film, Selma, just like it. Technical problems. Rest of it was amazing. Go see this film. I cannot stress this enough. So, yeah, I'm going to even put it in the description. Go see this film. Well, anyway, I probably should wrap this up. So, until next time, see ya.